Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Josh Bam Bam Brown. Welcome back to Brown Overboard. What is a real job? What does it mean to be a productive member of society? And what determines a worthwhile pursuit? I have lived my life in such a way that it's afforded me the ability to see things with a different perspective than most people are able to. I have lived a life within the entertainment industry. I have lived a life in the bush of Alaska. I've lived a life where I existed entirely subsistence, where the need for money was very minute. And if you spend your days and your time, like we did, living out there in the forest, and you chop your own wood, and you hunt and fish for your own food, and you collect your own water, and you're not paying anybody to do any of these things. You are your own infrastructure. You are your own little society. Does that count? Does that count as a real job? Because it's certainly not easy. It is definitely not easy to do. I would say that, I know there are a lot of hard jobs out there, but I would say that most people do not work anywhere nearly as hard as somebody that chops their own wood and collects all their own food and builds their own houses and lives that life and provides everything that they need for themselves and for the people they care about. I would say that most people do not work that hard. In fact, I would say most people don't realize how difficult that is. It's very rewarding. It's worth it, in my opinion. But it's not easy. It's very hard. It's very strenuous. It's a lot of work. It's backbreaking work in a lot of ways. And I don't think that a lot of people understand just how much work it actually is to live that kind of lifestyle. I think that some people have a tendency to look at like you're some kind of bum because you live that way. Just because you're living out in the forest and you don't have a 9-to-5. Like, one of the reasons I don't have a lot of money, one of the reasons I'm not more set up in the established world is because I didn't spend my time trying to do that. The pursuit of money wasn't my life. I was not dedicated to chasing monetary gain. It was not something that I set out every day to do. And I lived a great life. I loved my life. I wouldn't trade my life for anything. It made me who I am. And it was a great way to grow up. It was a great way to live. And it's not an easy way to live. So I personally don't understand how people can look at that as not being actual work. Is it just because you're not making money from doing it? Is that why? Because I think the reason that some people say these things about that is the same reason why some people look at someone who streams video games online, and whether they make money or not, they say that that person's not working a real job. I think that there is a disconnect with people between what is a real job and what's productive for society and what they view as being a real job. I think a lot of people have a bias against things because either one, they don't have the guts to live the life they want to, and so they resent anyone that is. Or two, they simply don't understand it. There's somebody that doesn't want to watch someone else play video games. There's somebody that doesn't want to live out in the bush. There's somebody that doesn't get it, right? They don't get the internet influencer. They don't get the bush survivalist. Like it's something that they don't understand, so they look down on it. or they just dismiss it. And I think it's one of those two things primarily is why people have that attitude towards stuff that is not a traditional 9 to 5. From my own experience, a lot of people don't even know what they mean when they say get a real job. And what they actually mean is be successful, I think, and be self-reliant. But self-reliance doesn't just come from money. But a lot of people think it does. A lot of people have it in their mind. They have this concept, whether it's self-taught, whether it's taught to them, whether it's a learned thing, or just a philosophy they believe, something that has been ingrained over generations of living in societies and cities and working 9 to 5 jobs. I don't know. Or maybe all the above. But they only see success or failure as one's ability to provide what they need to exist. And when you live out in the forest, that's your own two hands. That's just what you do. It's what you are able to do and provide for yourself. But when you live within society, it's entirely money. It's just money. It's solely money. But a lot of people that say get a real job are saying it to you regardless of money. So a lot of people would say that podcasting is not a real job. Those same people would say that acting's not a real job. Those same people would say that being in television in general, or being in the movies, or being an influencer online, or being a streamer, or doing any of these things is not a real job, because they're looking down on what it is that you're doing, or it's because they don't view it as being any kind of productive pursuit. But I've had people say get a real job when they work at a hardware store every day. So it's like you're working at a hardware store and looking down on people that are in entertainment. So it doesn't equate. It doesn't make a lot of sense, because I don't think that a lot of people that would tell someone that's following their dream or just living a life they don't understand to get a real job, that they even know what they mean. I don't think they know what they mean when they say that. So if you're somebody chasing a dream right now, the next time somebody tells you to get a real job, ask them to define a real job. Ask them to tell you what they mean by get a real job. If you put your time, energy, and effort into something, and it is making money, and it is giving you the ability to live your life the way that you want to, it is a real job. Because technically, by definition, a job is simply something that you do to facilitate your existence. It's something that you do that gives you money. It's something that you do to continue surviving and living the life that you're living. So whether that means living off the land, or whether that means streaming online, or whether that means working at the hardware store, or whether that means being a director, any of these things equate to a real job, because it is paying you you are being paid to do the thing. So it is giving you the monetary ability to take care of yourself. And in the case of living in the bush and doing things that way, you are still getting paid, but you're getting paid in the wood or water or the meat that you are able to attain, so that you can keep living your life and you can keep going. So to me, that all counts as a real job, because if the amount of effort that you put in and how hard it is or strenuous it is makes it a real job, then living a bush lifestyle definitely counts. And if it's simply monetarily based and it's about making money, then the streamer definitely counts. The influencer definitely counts. So nobody can tell either one of those people to get a real job. Because it's all a real job. Because it's all perspective. It's all perspective. And then you get into the philosophical question, like a poet, artists and poets. If a poet spends his life on the written word, and he spends his life crafting and working on and building beautiful prose and poetry, is that not a meaningful pursuit? Some people would look down on that. A lot of people wouldn't. And that person is giving beauty into the world, giving a lot of meaning into the world and the beauty to which they supply for people. There's a reason why poetry lasts as long as it does. There's a reason why we still read Shakespeare. There's a reason why we still go to museums and look at Van Gogh's A Starry Night. There's a reason why art resonates with people the way that it does, because it is something that is productive to society, whether or not there was monetary gain, whether or not there was that level of success, and whether or not it was something that was physically giving back to society or people. It is not a waste of time to create something beautiful, because it has meaning and it has value. And even if people don't recognize that meaning or value, it still wasn't a waste of time to you. There are a lot of jobs that obviously keep things rolling. They obviously give back to society. There are a lot of jobs I have immense respect for. If you want to talk about firefighters, first responders, people who drive the ambulance, the doctors in the ER, the surgeons, the people that are genuinely out there every day like superheroes trying to help people, and the people who are willing to put their lives on the line to save other people and to take care of and help other people. Obviously, those are real jobs, and obviously those people are giving back to society. Obviously, they are productive members of society, and in an admirable way. A lot of people dedicate their life, mind, body, and soul to those things. It's admirable, and they don't get paid enough either. And nor do they really get enough recognition, because those people, like I've said, are actual true heroes. There are other people who don't get a lot of recognition who do a lot of work to keep society going, like road workers and line workers and the sewage guys and the dudes hauling the trash and all of these people. They don't get the recognition that even like big time lawyers get, right? When I would definitely argue the trash dude is doing a lot more for society than the lawyers, depending on how you look at it. But they don't get the recognition, and they definitely don't get the pay. And those are jobs that are physically demanding. Those are jobs that take a toll, and those are jobs that no one can argue aren't real jobs and aren't productive members of society. And even the individuals that work at the hardware store, or the people that stock the grocery shelves, those are still people that are continuing to help society. They are productive members. I'm saying productive members of society and real job too many times, but it's the point of what I'm talking about, because it's a thing that people throw around. It's a thing that you hear people say. It's a thing that is out there like that people just don't even have an idea of what they're actually like telling people. And it's not something that makes a whole lot of sense, especially not if you're simply talking about making money, because then anything that makes money is by definition a real job. How are we deciding this? And that brings me to my next point. I think one of the primary ways people decide whether or not something is a real job, quote unquote, is rate of success. How successful are you at the thing that you're doing? Because if what you're doing is not making enough money for you to survive, if what you're doing is not successful, then it is not a worthwhile pursuit in a lot of people's eyes. But if it is successful, then it is a worthwhile pursuit. So does that mean that the only deciding factor into whether or not what you're doing counts or not is the rate of success, is how much money you make off of it, is how much recognition you get for doing the thing. If you have a garage band that is massively talented, super talented, they're really, really good, but if no money, no recognition, they're not able to really make it big. And then you have a band like Aerosmith, world famous, very rich, massively popular, very, 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 very successful. Everybody looks down on the garage band and tells them to get a real job. Everybody looks up to Aerosmith as a success. And they are looked at as overachievers in a lot of ways. And nobody looks down on that. When the only difference between the two is that one achieved success and made a lot of money and got a lot of recognition, and the other one didn't. It's the same with like trying to start a company. It's the same with trying to do anything. It's the same with trying to be an actor or a director or a musician or an artist or a poet or any of these things. It's the same with trying to do any of that. It's the same with trying to be an astronaut. It's the same with trying to be a doctor. If you succeed, everybody looks at it as, yay, wonderful, awesome, you did it. You become something that people look up to. But if you fail, if you don't make it, if you're in obscurity and are just getting by, everyone looks down on it. It's the mid-range that people seem to be the most okay with. When you're somebody that is just living your life the way that you want to, or you're somebody that is chasing an outlandish dream, you're somebody that has a ridiculous goal, it's easy for people to look down on that if you're not successful, and it's easy for people to admire that if you achieve a great deal of success. And the mid-range people seem to be where everybody wants you to be. It seems to be what is the least looked down or up at. Because if you exist in that mid-range, everybody is just kind of okay with it. And if you exist there, if you work at the local coffee shop and you're fine with it, and that's what you want to do, and you're happy living your life, and you don't have an outlandish dream to chase or a crazy goal, you don't need one. You don't have to. But on the other side of that coin, if you're somebody that has that itch, if you're somebody that just has to try, if you're that garage band, go for it. Do it. Don't let society or people telling you get a real job stop you from doing that. And if you're somebody that is achieving even moderate success, being a streamer online, don't let other people's opinion about what you do decide whether or not you should continue doing that thing. A lot of people act like you would get more respect from people if you worked at the coffee shop versus being a streamer online playing video games, even though you make way more money as the streamer online than you would at the coffee shop. And I think, again, that goes back to what I was saying earlier about whether people view the thing because they don't want to do that thing or because they don't understand that thing. With the ever-changing landscape of technology progressing the way that it does, there's a lot of different avenues people can go down to be more self-reliant and not have to have a 9-to-5 and be able to do the things that they want to and live the life that they want to live and the lifestyle that they want. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't want to do that, and a lot of people don't have the guts to do that. And so they look down on it and they tell everybody to get a real job because they can't stand the fact that every day they wake up and go work a 9-to-5 while somebody else is out there risking everything and either making it or not making it. Because that kind of person that has that inside them, they have that thing that they want to see other people fail because they're not achieving their goal. Those people are going to look down on you no matter what, whether you're a success or a failure, whether you are able to make a living at the thing that you're wanting to do or not. They're still going to tell you that. They're still going to be like, get a real job. But also, as I will repeat again, those people don't even know what a real job is. They don't know what they're actually saying because they cannot define what they mean by a real job. If you were a surfer, or if there was a surfer, In his entire life, he just wants to chase the waves. That's all he wants to do. He doesn't want to live in the bush. He doesn't want to be a streamer. He doesn't want to work at the coffee shop. He just wants to chase the waves. He just wants to go from beach to beach and ride the waves. And if he can become the world's greatest surfer, that would be wonderful and a dream come true. But if not, he's happy just to chase the waves. And this guy lives in his van, goes from beach to beach, works odd jobs when he has to. Only when he has to, and only to get enough fuel or food to survive and to get to the next beach. A lot of people would call that guy a bum. A lot of people would tell that guy to get a real job. But if that guy is living his life the way that he wants to, if that guy is chasing his dream, if that guy is doing the things he wants to do regardless of what anyone else or society tells him to do, how is that not any more important than anything else that someone is doing, than any other way that someone else wants to live their life? Because it's his life. And maybe some kid will see that and think to himself that his dream isn't so outlandish. Maybe a kid that wants to be an astronaut is going to see that surfer and he's going to go, wow, this guy is out here chasing his dream every day. He's living his dream. He is doing what he wants to do regardless of what society or anyone else tells him he can do or should do. And that kid chases the stars. In that way, that surfer is definitely giving back to society, if in no other way than just to show people that you can live the life you want to. All you have to do is choose to live that life. Because at the end of the day, when the curtain falls and the lights dim, it is only you and you alone that can decide whether or not it was a worthwhile pursuit. Only you are going to decide if it was a life well lived. It won't matter what anyone else thought. It won't matter what society thinks. It won't matter what anyone remembers. It won't matter what you left behind or what you didn't. Because you are the only one that can decide if your life was well lived. Did you live a good life? That'll be up to you. And whether you go into the ground with a lot of regret, or you go into the ground thinking to yourself how amazing your life was, even if it was modest, even if it was simple, or if it was grand and crazy. That's what counts. That's what matters. Did you live a life that you wanted to live? Did you live your life the way you wanted to live it? You decide if your life was well lived, and no one else. So if you want to start a company, if you want to be a surfer, if you want to be an astronaut, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a firefighter, if you want to work at that coffee shop, if you have a dream that you want to chase, or you just want to live an ordinary life, that's up to you. It's not up to anyone else. It's not up to society. It's not up to your neighbor. It's not up to your parents. It's not up to anybody. It's up to you. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you want to do what you want to do. And the world needs all of these people in reality. Because in reality, it's all one society, and also society doesn't exist. Because in reality, it's all the individual. And we're all the individual. We're all in this together, and we're also all on our own solo little trips. And the poets, and the firefighters, and the musicians, and the streamers, and everybody in between are all giving back to society in their way, living the life that they want to live, how they want to live it. And if you want to live in the bush, then you want to provide for a society of one. It's totally okay. No one has the right to judge anyone else for how they want to live their life, for what job they do or don't do. It's entirely your choice. Remember that as you go about your day. Remember that it's up to you, not anyone else. And there's always going to be people with their opinions. And some people will look up to you for what you do, and other people will look down on you for what you do, regardless of your level of success, regardless of what it is you do. So at the end of the day, what is a real job? What does it mean to be a productive member of society, and what makes a worthwhile pursuit is decided by each and every one of us. I'll see y'all guys next time for another episode of Brown Overboard.